The name of this album is The Don Reno Story by Don Reno and Bill Harrell and the Tennessee Cut-Ups. Now, in case you don't know who Don Reno was, he was the co-leader of a band with Red Smiley, which was also called the Tennessee Cut-Ups. And Red Smiley would play guitar and sing lead, and Don Reno would sing harmony and play banjo. Now, Don Reno and Earl Scruggs are the co-creators of the dominant style of bluegrass banjo playing. They were childhood friends, and they both developed this three-finger picking style. And the difference because almost everybody else who plays that style imitates Earl Scruggs, not Don Reno. So he sounds a bit different than Earl Scruggs. And the way I could illustrate that difference is to tell you about a couple of friends, Doug and Alan, both guitar players. Now, I thought that Alan was the better guitar player because, like Earl Scruggs, he plays the right note at the right time. But Alan will admit that Doug is the better guitar player, so much better that Doug thinks it's boring to play with Alan. But Doug plays much more complex stuff with lots more notes. And that's a lot like Don Reno. He does things the hard way, the more complicated way. And so I got this album. I've only listened to it a few times ever, and I've had it for decades. As I said at the beginning of starting these videos, every bluegrass song I like. Some I like more than others. None of this stuff is stuff that offends me. It's just that I have other bluegrass albums I'd rather hear than this. I don't like this as much as other people's stuff. It's a double album, and it's a re-recording of the Reno and Smiley hits that they did before. So let's tell you who the band is. There's three guitar players. There's Don Reno on 5-string banjo and vocals, Bill Harrell guitar and vocals, Dale Reno mandolin, Buck Ryan fiddle, Ed Ferris bass, Arthur Smith guitar and derber, and Clay Smith guitar. So you can see there's lots of text telling you the history of Don Reno here. So let's go into what's actually in here. So, it starts off with Charlotte Breakdown, an instrumental, and then Just a Phone Call Will Do, then Bringing in the Georgia Mail, then Little Rock Getaway, another instrumental, then The Lord's Last Supper. Then side 2 starts with I'm Using My Bible for a Road Map, and Reno Ride, another instrumental, then I'm the Talk of the Town, then Long Gone, and finally Gold Digger. So that's the first two sides of this double album. So side 3 begins with Country Boy Rock and Roll, then I Know You're Married But I Still Love You, then Dixie Breakdown, which is an instrumental, and then I Couldn't Win, then He's Coming Back to Earth Again. Side 4 starts with another instrumental, Remington Ride, that's followed by Don't Let Your Sweet Love Die, then Trail of Sorrow, then Limehouse Blues, another instrumental, then My Mother's Bible. Almost every one of these songs is credited to Don Reno, or at least partially credited to Don Reno. So they're not any traditional fiddle tunes or anything like that, like Bill Monroe or the Stanley Brothers might put on their album. It's mostly original stuff, and it's good stuff. The instrumental list, especially the banjo picking, is top rate, but it lacks the soul that the Stanley Brothers or Bill Monroe have on their stuff. And it's not as Bill Harrell's got a nice voice, but it's not as sweet as Lester Flatt's, and not as soulful as Jimmy Martin's. It's good. So, yeah, what can I say about this? It's a good album, but I like other stuff better.